Another loss for Spurs, another loss for Ange Postecoglou, 15 in the league this season. I guess it's a step in the right direction from last year. Last year was 3-0, this year's 2-0. And I think the performance on a whole actually was better this year than it was last year. But you can't get away from the fact that the game hinged after Romero went off the pitch, because I felt like in the second half, Spurs were the team in the ascendancy. Spurs were the ones pushing a bit more. And then, Romero goes off. We both said it on the watch long. Once Romero goes off, we're going to come under increasing pressure. And I think that's exactly what happened. But in terms of the starting lineup today, we all could see, like, if you put the three in midfield that we did today of Archie Gray, Bentancur, Bissouma, there was going to be little to no creativity, and that's exactly what we saw in the first half.
No, it is exactly what we saw in the first half, but also at the same time, we probably saw a side of Spurs that we've never seen under Ange. They barely laid a glove on us. They couldn't break us down. Defensively, we were very, very sound. But the biggest issue is you need goals to win games, and we were never going to do that with that midfield three. And I can't remember how many times we mentioned Romero and Davis in that first half, because they were winning everything, any ball, any loose ball, it was theirs. If Spencer and Doggy looked solid, nothing was really getting past them. And in midfield three, it was kind of bypassing them a little bit, but it wasn't nothing to be concerned about. But the biggest issue was when we just couldn't keep it up top. Like, nothing would stick to Solanke. Tell wasn't really getting at his man. I think our best spit in the first half was when Tell took on the guy and he laid it across and no one was really there. But more, he should have looked up. But yeah, it's just, we all could have predicted that. Apart from Fulham scoring, I think we could have all predicted how that first half was going to go. And it probably went to script. Exactly when you saw both lineups. Fulham had an attacking intent, we didn't. And it was 0-0 at half time.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It was very predictable. When you see the lineup, you know it's going to lack creativity. Ben Davis and Romero was getting us out of all sorts of problems in that first half. Because you think about it, if we didn't have Romero in that first half, we're probably two or
It probably goes similar to last year's game when we played them. It's probably very similar, and the fact is that we wouldn't have been able. A lot of that would have just bypassed. If Archie Gray had started there, let's put the. We'll go by what we saw in the second half. If Archie Gray starts there in the first half, that game could have been 3, 4, 5 probably. And it was so key to what Romero brings to this team at the moment. Yeah. And even when he's on the ball, some of the passes that he lays into that midfield just to break it up and get through the lines, that is why he's one of the best. No matter what people want to say about him, no matter if people want to say he does this, he does that, he's too aggressive, he's blah, blah, blah. Clearly today you could see that we've been missing him for like
100%. 100%. And I just don't get why he would... Look, you're always going to say, yeah, but we're prioritising the Europa League and blah, blah, blah. But the reality is, after this game, we're not playing for 2.5 weeks. After that, we don't have Europa League for another, in 3 games' time or 4 games' time. Maddison hasn't even been called up to the England squad. So why not start a Maddison in the midfield in this game? I don't understand why you wouldn't do that. Like, what's the thinking behind it?
I didn't really understand it. And for me, I'd have probably gone more Bergvall than Madders. And if I'm looking at the bigger picture with Maddison, he's not really a guy that can play 2 games a week and start the next. That's always been his issue for any club that he's been at, and he ends up getting injured. And I think, from what I can see this season, they're trying to manage Maddison better than what they did last year. And we've noticed that Maddison's been available a lot more.
Yeah.
So for me, Bergvall's probably played the most amount of games, but he's young enough, and he doesn't look like he can be slowing down. So I would have probably gone with him over, well, that was the other thing. Who would I have gone with him over? Probably
one of Bentancur or Bissouma, surely.
Yeah. I'm trying to go by how the first half went. I probably would have gone over it, probably Bentancur, and then brought Bentancur and Maddison on later if it wasn't working out. But we were quite solid in the first half defensively that I look at it and go, did Ange really get it wrong? Or was it a case of there was a certain period in the second half where it suddenly went to pot because he had to take Romero off?
No, Ange definitely got it wrong because, yeah, you can say we're solid and everything like that, but you need to be taking the game to the opponent as well. You need to be causing problems and asking questions, which we did nothing of. Apart from a few tail runs in the first half, we asked no questions of that Fulham defence. It was way too blunt. No sort of creativity, no guile, no nothing. There was nothing to go on in terms of, we were just batting away the Fulham attack. That's pretty much what we were doing. So in my opinion, if that's what you're seeing against a Fulham side, and don't get me wrong, Fulham are a good team, but we should be going there and asking questions, and we didn't do anything of the sort. Credit to him, because second half, he noticed problems and he brought on Son.
Yeah.
He brought on Bergvall like he did a couple of weeks ago. I mean, last weekend against Bournemouth, right? He did the same.
Yep.
And I think it did have an impact up until the moment Romero went off. You know, we were the ones in the ascendancy. It looked like we were the one asking the questions. Fulham didn't really have a way to get out.
It was when Odeberg came on in that second half, it just changed the dynamics of that game as well, because even when Romero came off, we didn't have our backs up against the wall against Fulham. We were still going with that attacking intent. And Tell, to be fair to him, done well in the second half. But all of a sudden, Odeberg comes on, loses the ball, and it just causes chaos because our back four just couldn't deal with it. And that's exactly what happened. None of them could deal with what happened next. And then it just, you know, the rest of the game, you knew what was going to happen because it's typical Spurs.
It passed us by, but it was just a shame because we were on top for at least like 25 minutes of the start of that. Yeah, about 20, 25 minutes of the start of that second half. You know, Bergvall was adding a lot. I mean, Bergvall was brilliant when he came on, let's be real.
He was.
Driving us forward, exactly what you expected from him. I thought Sonny was asking a few questions. Solanke was the one that disappointed me because...
Very disappointing today.
Yeah, because in the first half, it just kept bouncing off him. He wasn't able to hold the ball up, anything. And then when he did get his chances, just couldn't get it on target.